Yeah, this is Common Sense PhD with Papa Keith and company. Yeah, this is Common Sense PhD with Papa Keith and company. Make it make sense. I love it when they bring the soul to the beat. They telling me to stay inside, it's not safe in the streets. Got black babies dying, I see blood on the leaves. If I see a devil, I might just take off the sheets. Do what I do to live my life. I can care less about these dudes who just sit online and type, who love to criticize and say, what would you do for the price? In the same breath saying what you do with your life, what you do to survive. Cause most of y'all don't make it, while the rest is sitting at home and scared to take it. The life we lead is not one you can fake it till you make it. And I can't lie, that's why I laugh when they be hating. They so far removed, they still debate on who the best. But the real know that the best don't have to flex. You might not ever hear a bar or see the check. See the fake will never see you unless you step. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Yeah. This is Common Sense PhD. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Yeah.
Yo, what up? Welcome to the first of many Common Sense PhD podcasts with your boy Papa Keith. And I'm going to be honest with you, I couldn't think of doing this podcast with any other person. The inaugural, it's going to grow, it's going to do its thing, you're going to see it form. You know, I have an intro for this podcast, and I even run it right now. You'll probably see it in the produced version, but I couldn't think of it was just no thought of anybody else to start this podcast with, but the one and only Janae Tate from Hollow News. So Janae, thank you so much, and welcome to the first episode of Common Sense PhD podcast. Thank you so much.
Of course, Papa Keith. I am so honored to be here, and I feel special that you wanted to kick this off with me. So thank you, and I'm so happy and excited for this next chapter for you as you launch this podcast. You know, me, Hollow News team, we here to support you, whatever you're doing, and I'm like really excited for this conversation. So
Always
yeah,
have many years history we have, and you've supported me right through in so many of my endeavors. And here's another one. But you know, we a media duo, and you know, it's only right, and it felt right, and I couldn't see it any other way. So thank you for taking the time. 'Cause I know you've been crazy busy. We'll get into the Carol City the Carol City picnic and all the things for sure. All right, so just to give everybody pretty much an understanding of what the podcast is like, y'all know me for music, y'all know me for radio. You know, Janae and I, for our podcast, That Part Podcast, which covers political, topics and stuff like that. But I never get a chance to talk about things like relationships, you know, my personal views and battles and all these different things. And podcast and interviewing people is therapy for me. Finding out what other people go through, and I'm sure you deal with that too, Janae, interviewing people with hot news. You know, you learn like, damn, they go through rough shit too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's really cool to like talk to people and understand, you know, some of the stuff that they're going through. Like life is not just Instagram, you know? So this gives me a space to be able to tackle some personal things. And we call it Common Sense PhD because I swear I have a PhD in common sense, just the way how I view things, just from a real simple line of sight. And, you know, it has worked very well for me over the years. And I've always talked to people about having this sixth sense and this just this innate ability to be able to see things just very clearly and very plain. So I call it having a PhD in common sense. But the whole tagline behind the podcast is really make it make sense. So a lot of the things that we're going to talk about, we're just trying to make it make sense to us. You know, sometimes things get complicated. Sometimes things get, you know, layered, and we just want to kind of shake that stuff and just say me to you, like how we say in the political podcast, in layman's terms, or like, you know what I mean? Yeah, just speak direct and stuff like that. So I'm gonna have different guests each week on a Tuesday at 9:00, and I'm gonna be basically interviewing the guests, asking them different topics from different ways of life, and it could be politics a little bit, it could be lifestyle, it could be their personal stuff, it could be relationship topics. So we're gonna get started, man. Again, I'm just excited to have Janae Tate, man, to kick this thing off. and we're gonna do this. You ready, Janae?
I'm trying to
Uh,
share it with people. So if you see me looking away, that's what it is. I'm just
nah, it's
trying to
all love, man. It's
get some
all
of my
love.
people in here
Nah,
so
get
that
them
they
in,
can
get them in.
tune in.
Nah, I appreciate it, man. So listen,
So let's
let's set the tone, all right? So, Janae, with everything happening in the world right now, why does it feel like common sense isn't so common anymore?
Okay, so
That's Janae.
just a disclaimer, even though I have Highlight News on the screen, I want y'all to know these views are my personal views. They do not reflect the business entity as a whole of Highlight News, but still go follow us. But so for me personally, I think that common sense doesn't seem so common, especially is because of the political climate. The person that we have in office right now has, done a really great job of convincing a big group of people in the country that information is fake and certain things are fake news. And so we have a lot of distrust in the information, especially some of our institutions of media and news. And so you have people that are following, unverified YouTube pages for their information, or they're just seeing a headline on social media and they're running with it. And it's just, the our media literacy is so low, but also too, our education system has also not been the best. And I was talking to an educator recently, and she was talking about the COVID babies and the kids who grew up during COVID, who didn't have those social interactions, who didn't, they have like a gap of 3 years of social development and just development in their education that happened because of COVID. And so a lot of those kids are like teens, early 20s too. So we have that going on into like in society if we're thinking about like the adults. And so for me, I think those things, the lack of the infrastructure, strong infrastructure in our media systems and our education system is to me contributes to what feels like a lot of dumb people saying dumb shit. Can I curse? I'm sorry. Saying dumb
Yeah, yeah,
stuff
yeah.
on social media and in society. Like, and here's the thing that irks me the most is when I'm talking to somebody and they're saying something and they believe it to be truth. And I'm like, this is a verified thing that is not true. Did you just look at least two or three resources when you did you even Google this to see if this was true? Like that irks my nerves. I'm like, it's one thing to get some information, but it's another thing to not verify it and then go run with it as if it's law. Like that's just crazy to me.
And do you think social media is helping people think or just react?
React. It's the headline, it's the quick, you know, s- the emotional that to me, social media fosters a way for people to react emotionally in real time. You don't have to think, and also too, there's no consequences. You could say whatever you want from the comfort of your home. Put your phone down. You could say the most mean, vile thing to someone online. Put your phone down. Go eat your popcorn, your macaroni and cheese, or whatever, and there's no consequences for it. Because a lot of times, sometimes I get into Twitter beefs, not really Twitter, but Instagram beefs with people, and I be like I wish you would say this to my face. Like, you would never say this to my face. Like,
Right,
okay,
right.
or let's meet up. And I don't condone violence, but I'm like, let's meet up and have a conversation and see if keep that same energy whenever I see you again. And most people would never say any of the things that they say on social media to someone's face. And so I think because of that, it allows people to just be very reactionary and very emotional to me in their responses.
That's what's up, man. Good stuff so far. Let's skip over to some relationships and reality topic. All right. In today's dating culture, do you think people are looking for real connection or just convenience?
You know what? I actually think it depends on the age group. I
Mm.
think on
Okay.
I think it depends on the age group. And so because I'm sandwiched in between, I'm in my 30s, late 30s. But I do interact with 20 somethings and I interact with 40 somethings and 50 somethings and even sometimes 60 somethings. And so I personally believe that,
Be
the
messing with
20 something.
zaddies? You got some zaddies? Let me find out.
I'm gonna put the plural on it. God damn, Papa Keith. Hey, don't make me sound like I'm out there.
I know I
No,
thought
no,
you was
no.
gonna stop at 50s and then you went to 60s. I'm like, okay, that's zaddy. Okay.
And socially, you know what I do.
I know, I
I
know.
move around a lot of people of different age groups. First of all, you ain't shit.
I know.
But anyway, um, I think that, wait, give me the question. You don't got me all flustered.
Today's dating culture, do you think people are looking for real connection or convenience?
Okay, so like I said, yes, age groups. I think people in their 20s and early 30s are looking for convenience because I just think they lack the emotional intelligence to understand like what it takes to have a real relationship. And I do think like people, I'm gonna just be biased. I'm saying I think people my age and older, late 30s and older, are looking for, connection is like I think more than not. But I do think that because of dating app culture, social media culture, um, you know what? Let me backtrack. I think that social media makes people think that what you're seeing, what's being screamed the loudest at you, is the norm. And so even I may be wrong in what I'm saying about the 20 somethings. Like I don't know all the people in the world. It feels like because we see these conversations all the time on social media about, the dating pool has piss in it and this and that. Like it makes you feel like everybody ain't shit. And nobody and people just want like convenience and not connection. And honestly, a lot of people that I talk to, especially women and men of a certain age, they're like, I want a relationship. I would like something real. I'm tired of people, doing XYZ. So to me, that lends to the fact that people want connection. I think that a lot of our social settings have changed, and it contributes to people having less opportunities to connect in person in a real way. So I think that may be the issue more so than people's desire for connection versus their opportunity to connect in person.
I would probably go a little higher with the age, in my opinion. I would say 40 and above seem to me wanting more of a connection. So I'm with you on it, but I would just go a little bit higher in age. I'm just saying, No, but listen, some people are more mature than others, you know what I mean? So you have some girls in their 20s that act like, they're in their 50s based on their maturity level. But if I'm gonna keep it like on that line that you're talking about, I would say in the 40s because what I feel is that social media is still strong in its 30s. You know what I mean? It still has a very strong presence, and what I'm seeing out there is a lot of delusion. From both like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So,
Not
if you remember
delusion.
yeah, if you remember the topics of, like, "You can't take me to Cheesecake Factory on a first date," and these type of
Hey,
topics yeah, but these are the delusional messages that are going out where people are more concerned about that, so that to me, that skews more convenience. So, you're not really looking to connect with anybody. If you're looking to connect with somebody, you meet them at a library, you meet them at a coffee shop. Uh, you know what I'm saying? Right. Meet them at a park and you connect with somebody that way. So where you dining is not a real connection. That's a convenience. That's a meal. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
You know what I mean? So
it's
I,
using.
yeah, pretty much, and it leans heavy on the women, but there's a lot of idiot men out there that are setting this platform. I mean, it wouldn't be so many women saying that if there wasn't so many men doing that. And the fact that, again, with social media, people don't communicate effectively. Like, I talk for a living. I don't need social media to speak for me. You know what I mean? I don't need a car or things or jewelry to speak for me. You know what I mean? I could actually hold a conversation and connect with somebody, sometimes too well. Sometimes I overconnect and it's too much. They don't even know how to respond to some of the things I'm saying because they're not used to communicating. You know what I mean? So, um, with that being said, it becomes that because, like, if they can't communicate and the guy can't communicate, then everything is based on things,
Yeah.
or what you can do, or because they're all buffers now. You know what I mean? So since I can't hold a conversation to hold you, I'm gonna just put this plate in front of you, or I'm gonna just put this piece of jewelry in front of you, and and allow that to be the buffer that we connect on. You know what I mean? So it's just like even when I go to restaurants, like I'll go to Loom and different restaurants, and I'll people watch. You know, it's so incredible how 2 people will come out or a group of people will come out and nobody's having conversations like that. No
Oh,
real
that's their
conversation.
phone.
It's all
Yes.
selfies and da 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 da, and it's just crazy. I wanna add on one thing on the female tip, something I've always wanted to understand, right? Because 'Cause I've been a victim of it, I've been appreciative of it, and then it also kinda pisses me off too, so it's kind of a weird space, but when women go out say to a dinner or a trip or whatever you call it, right? And they go on social media and they act like they're doing that by themselves. They're
You
on
mean
a
like if they're on
yeah,
a date or they were they're
they're
good
on a
their
date.
girlfriend?
They're on a date. They're on a date. So they're at the restaurant and they showing everything and they're going in the bathroom and taking pictures, but you won't see the guy, but it just seems like I'm doing this for myself. Like I can afford this meal and I'm doing this just because. You know what I mean? And not really admitting that you're there with somebody or you're on that trip with somebody, but you're making it seem like you are. So now when I say about myself, um, sometimes you out sneaking or you doing something that you don't want them to show you, or you don't want people to know that you out with that person. So in those cases, I'm like, yeah,
It is like, "Oh, this benefits me because she doesn't wanna
yeah,
show me."
have at it. Show that food only. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. No problem with it. But then after a while, you look at it too, and when they really you can see like they really into it. Like they really believe in like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm doing it right now. You know what I mean? And you're looking at them like, you're not doing shit. Like,
I
you're
mean, if
not
they
paying
see the
for
dude
the
as
meal.
a trick, then to them, that's the job, and I am doing it. I'm using my feminine wiles and whatever else I'm using, like, yeah, I am doing this. This is my job, so to speak. Or maybe the dude is ugly and they don't want nobody to know. Or to your point, if they know what it is with it, certain dudes and it's like, okay, it's a creep thing. I know I can't post XYZ. So I just think it depends on the situation. But I've definitely been not that I pretend that it's mine, but I
Right.
definitely will post something and not show who I'm with if I don't want, but for me, it's more so like I don't just want y'all in my business. It doesn't mean that I don't care about the person or that, we're not having a good time or we're not building something real. It just may be like, I just don't care for y'all to dig into who I'm dating and who I'm with and what their situation is because it's none of your business. But I also think our I I also think that they're like I think that it just depends on like, oh, I lost my train of thought, but I think because of what we do for a living, of course, you're way more popular than I am.
Right.
Um, um,
It
we
depends.
there's a
It depends what room we're in.
yes. I don't agree, but I guess I'm saying that so like secrecy and privacy. I would say privacy for us is different because we share a lot of ourselves with the public, working in media, working in, news,
True.
journalism, like,
It's
so
true.
it's like, I don't want y'all going to see who I'm with or whatever. Um,
It's
so
true.
yeah.
That an ex of mine used to have issue with me not posting her, and and for me, honest truth, it was more of a situation where because of a level of popularity that I do have, if I post a woman and show that I care about that person now becomes a target. Guys who have
Yes.
never been interested in her, everybody want to pound her now. I mean, listen, I blame R. Kelly and Trey Songz and all the other R&B artists making these songs, Mr. Steal Your Girl and this and that. But men have an innate um, challenge within them to feel like if they can conquer your woman while you with her or shortly after you being with her, that as though that allows them to be on
Gotcha.
your level.
Yeah. It's
It's
like, but and also too, you giving her like this value as well. So she seems more desirable if like, oh, he had her, so now I want to have her, and it's like this badge of honor. Like, yeah, I knocked her down too. I think that's really interesting. The crazy thing is, this has happened in our relationship, our friendship. I noticed since we started doing the podcast, there have been people that are your connections that have now like, oh, so what's your tea or what's your situation? And I'm like, I've been doing this forever.
right.
Maybe we've had different interactions over the past, but it's all like I kind of got that indirectly because of my affiliation with you. It's like, oh, now I see you on this podcast with Papa Keith, so what's up with you, blah blah. And I'm like, I don't like
Right.
that because I've always been me. So now, but now I'm more, I guess, desirable, interesting because I'm on this platform with Papa Keith. So To your
So,
point, it does happen.
so if my ex is watching, there you go. Uh, what's one thing both men and women completely get wrong?
Oh, this you talking about the same thing or
Just one
separate
thing.
things
Yeah, one thing doesn't have to be the same thing. They just completely get wrong.
in a relationship? Uh,
Mhm.
you know what? I think, and this is for both sides. I think
Okay.
that men and women, and I wish we could see the comments over here. I got the comments up on my screen, so I'm seeing they going off in the comments right now. So one person said something that kind of took me off as well. So sorry about
All
that, but
good. All good. I'm
but
not in
hey,
the
y'all
comments,
on
but
YouTube.
go
But
ahead.
I say thing that men and women get wrong in relationships, and just people get wrong in relationships. This is an inclusive show. I think we forget that when you're coming into a relationship, you have your own individual experiences, your own background, your own lived, trauma and hurt. And sometimes it's like people get so offended if you don't think the way they do right away, or you don't just automatically understand what somebody um has like what somebody means. It's like, I don't know you, like I just met you. And it's like sometimes we forget that, like this person has their own lived experiences and traumas and things like that, and a way of doing things that we just got to give each other more grace and understanding in the beginning. I think sometimes especially with like the social media generation or people who plugged into that, they're all, these are red flags or this and that, and it's like, no, you just don't know this person, and y'all not giving each other like patience and grace and understanding to say, hey, oh, if I come at you a certain way, like how do you do conflict resolution? How do you, handle when you're stressful at work? What does joy look like for you? What does this look like for you? Who handles planning the date? Who handles this? What do you get what I'm saying? Like in the beginning, if you and I think I will say this, I think women are way tough on men in that regard. It's like, if he don't want to plan the date and pay for it and pick me up, then that means he don't care about me
Right,
at all ever in the world.
right,
This,
right.
red flag, red flag. It's about me, respect me, my boundaries. And I'm like, that absolutely doesn't mean that. He could absolutely care about you. He just may be a shitty planner, but he's like, I want to go with you. Can you help me out in this area?
Right.
Pick the
That
place,
was
I'll pay for it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's me all day. That was gold. That I'm gonna be honest with you, that was gold, what you just said. And thank you for saying that because that's gonna really touch a lot of people right now that's listening that will be listening to this podcast. So that was really, really good. What I would say is that more on the women's for the women, I would say not every person that is nice to you is trying to hunt you. You know,
mm,
I know you probably get a lot of compliments and a lot of people, and it may come across like that, but sometimes people could just be nice. And I come across that a lot because I'm generally a nice person with people who don't really know me, and when I am courteous or I say something courteous, you know, I sometimes get a reaction as though I'm trying to kick it with you or I'm trying to like get at you. You know what I mean? Where like, well, can I just be nice? Can I just be a gentleman? Can I just compliment you without it having to be anything more than that? So I think some women get that really wrong.
trust me, I'm laughing because I've had side conversations with women who think that you want to hit on them, and I'm like, baby girl, he's just being nice.
Get
you know,
out!
yes,
You know me.
yeah. I'm like, girl, he don't want you. Like,
You see why I need this podcast? Because this allows me to have these conversations that I never get to have on the radio and never get to have on our political podcast. I'm loving
but
this. This is great.
it works in reverse too. I think too, and
Yeah.
like I said, I think again, because of the work that we do in our personalities, I'm super duper friendly. And somebody in the comments, I won't name their name, they watch my interviews and be like, "You're flirting with someone," and I'm like, "I'm not flirting. I'm being nice." And I go up, it's a part of too. Like I want to make somebody feel comfortable. Like, but here's the other thing too. If you look at my interviews, I treat women the same way. Oh my gosh, you're beautiful, girl. I love you. Like, give me a hug. So I do that with women and men. It's not, I don't want you. I'm just being friendly. God forbid I be a nice person. My mama raised me right. Shout out to her in the chat. So I'm like, God forbid I be, I'm nice. But I think also, too, and I made a post, it was something unrelated, but it kind of relates to this. I think we're so used to shitty people and people doing shitty things that or people being having ulterior motives, that when somebody's actually genuine, you don't even know how to receive that
Steve,
because you've only dealt with shitty people who maybe were nice to you to get something out of you, and that doesn't, necessarily mean that everybody's on that.
I love that. Great, great stuff. Let's roll over to accountability in relationships since we're on the relationship topic. Why is accountability so hard in relationships today? Everybody wants honesty until they hear it. By the way, while you're thinking, accountability has become my favorite word ever. Accountability and intention. I just love those words.
Those are my, and also too, a boundary and hold space. Let's hold space.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like
yeah,
those
yeah.
words. The woo-woo shit that people in therapy learn.
Right.
Um, so you said, why are people not
Yeah. Why is
taking accountability?
accountability so hard in relationships today? Everybody wants honesty until they hear it.
Because I think I think people have created these worlds where they're the star of their own show, right?
Mm,
And they're the king or queen of their domain, right? And I think that if you're a person who hasn't self-reflected, and I think a lot of people haven't done that, if you can't call your own self out, it's going to be hard for other people to do that. And I think a lot of people, especially like we have echo chambers with social media. So you could click something in the algorithm that agrees with your point of view and you could see that shit all day for 3 months straight. So now you start thinking whatever toxic thing that you believe or whatever problematic behavior that you believe is okay, and you keep seeing all these people affirm it when somebody else says, "Hey, yo, I don't think it's a good idea." Like, we were talking about relationship. Hey, when you're upset, I don't think it's cool that you shut down. I think we should communicate with it. Or if you're angry or, you yelling and screaming and cursing at me, I don't think that's okay to do. Like, can we step back and be like, how dare you? I don't have to, this is who I am, accept me who I am. And I'm like, so I think it's ego. I think a lot of people have not been able to check their ego and 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 understand like that it's not always about you, and that someone telling you the truth or keep holding you accountable is not it's not like a hit at you. It's not like a negative thing. It's honestly, to me, I think it's love. It's caring for that person. It's like, I want you to be the best version of yourself. And I see this thing. Maybe I learned from being this way. And I think a lot of times people don't understand how to take that because, like, I think to me, those people have low emotional intelligence. No shade, but all the shade. Like, maybe you need to go sit on somebody's couch. If every
right.
time somebody holds you accountable, especially if they're doing it in love and you taking it as an offense and you don't want to hear the honesty, you're the problem and you need to go sit on somebody's couch. Cause it can't be everybody. It can't be everybody. It gotta be you sometimes.
Well, we could put it in three categories because you mentioned ego, which is a heavy one, and
Mhm.
and I've experienced that one. I got to tell you a story about that. But you could put it in three categories, and depending on which category it is, I can work with you. Right? Category one is fear.
Mm.
Okay. Category two is ego. Can't work with that. Category three is maturity. I can work with that.
You said the first one was fair or fear?
Fair, fair, fair. Right. So for me, just with the different categories, and I'll let you attack it. Right. For me, with the different categories, fair, I can deal with that with assistance. So you have to go to therapy. So if you have a fear, if accountability, having accountability, or excuse me, if not having accountability is a defense mechanism for you because of fear, right? I can understand that.
Because you're afraid.
Right. I can understand that. And I could be willing to work with that, but with help, right? So there's that. Ego, I'm not messing with it. Like, if you don't want to seek help and you don't want to do none of the things, and I'm seeing it's just an ego based type situation, I can't rock with you. Period. Right? Maturity, I can rock with you without the therapy and just give it time. You know what I mean? I can be patient and I can see how it develops over a period of time and say, okay, maybe the person never had anybody held them accountable prior to me. And okay, then that's a level of maturity. They haven't matured in that space. So I can't or shouldn't expect them to be on my level, which is something you attacked earlier, you know? So if I care about the person or I'm trying to build with the person, then you know what? I'm going to give them time to be able to mature into that. But it would need benchmarks, too.
Think that at this stage in my life and where I am with relationships, right? And my current situation, I think that for me, therapy ain't no mature, ain't no, I just feel like we all need it in the
Therapy
sense
across
of
the
like,
board.
but here's also thing. So it's crazy. Like this, the phones be listening. I'm convinced. So, I was talking about couples therapy, and now I've been getting these social media posts. I'm seeing stuff on like, whatever about people who aren't like married or even engaged, but they're like boyfriend and girlfriend, and they're going to couples therapy to work through the kinks before they get to marriage. So, people like Funky Dineva is one of the YouTubers that I watch. I love him from Miami. So he said he and his boyfriend, of course, they're locked in. He said he feels like that could be his person. And he said they were having some issues with communication, and they decided to go to couples therapy. And so and he said it works wonders for their relationship. And then I saw Kerry Washington said that her and her husband started therapy before they had issues. Like they didn't have issues, but they wanted to have tools so that if they ever came up on issues, that they would know how to work through them. And I think that's really, really healthy. Of course, I believe in like if I was to get married or whatever, I believe in premarital counseling and whatever therapy. Just as I've been in therapy for the last like almost 10 years now. I feel like who I'm dating, like we're gonna go to couples therapy because I think that we all just need tools. And I also think too, a lot of us, especially if we're of a certain age, Black peoples, brown peoples in this country, let's be real, systematic racism has not only affected us poverty-wise, economic-wise, it has affected our relationships and how we deal with each other, how Black men and Black women deal with each other. We have been so stressed down and downtrodden that we didn't like our ancestors and people generations before us didn't have the capacity or the space to be able to do the mental work. They just were together. And now we have the opportunity to be able to work, on the mental health side of like our relationships and repairing some of that generational trauma and generational curses. And so for me, that's why I think in a dating phase, I'm going to go, to couples therapy. I want us to have the tools because we're two flawed people who chose to be together, but we need some tools so that we can make it through some of the communication issues, maybe some hurt, trauma things that you have, some triggers that you have. If I have the tools and I care about you, I need to understand how to work through that, work through my own shit. And I think a lot of us are really not, we're really underestimating the mental trauma and hurt that systematic racism has had on our relationships as Black men and women, like real shit. And I feel like if we really understood what like slavery was, like for Black men to be taken away from their families, to see their women raped, and if y'all don't think we carry that in our DNA, you're totally mistaken. To see your husband to go home and he lynched on a tree and you never see him again, there's nothing you could do about it. Like you're carrying that from your ancestors. And I'm like, and that's why I feel like a lot of times we be sometimes at each other like that because we haven't healed and we're carrying all that stuff in us. And I do think I'm actually excited to see what the future generations like evolve into because of the work like me and you, we talk about therapy and stuff like that. Like I'm interested to see what the future generations like evolve into because we're doing the work. We're breaking those generational curses. We're, breaking trauma. We're doing communicating with our kids and our nieces and our nephews in a different way than if our, parents and grandparents did before us. And I think that, I think Black men and Black women, we love each other and we want to be with each other, but I think we have a lot of hurt and pain. And I think that to me, having therapy is needed. So for me, like to bring it back to your point, I can't be with a person who doesn't believe in therapy and mental health, and investing in their mental health. Like for me, that's a non-starter. Like if you can't do that, then we can't be together. Here's the thing, a person who is willing to invest in their mental health will eventually, to me, I think, work on their ego. Like that you can't the 2 can't exist. You start having conviction. So if you and also too, it depends on how toxic that ego is. So it just depends. Like if it's somebody who has a little ego, but they're willing to work, or they recognize that those issues that their ego is causing, I could work with that. But if that shit is just too far gone and it's a little bit too extreme for me, then I probably can't deal with that person.
Let's get to current events and perspective. All right, this is something you're big on. When you break big news, people rush to pick a side instantly. Do you think we've lost the ability to actually think things through?
I think that goes back to what we were talking about, like the fake news and people not
I'm
thinking
talking
lack of common
specifically with
sense.
Hilo News, with you
Oh,
as a news brand, and how people, because when you break big news a lot of times on Hilo News. So when it comes to Hilo News, do people rush to pick a side instantly? Or do you think we lost the ability to actually think things through as you see people respond when it comes to Hilo News?
when it comes to local, I would say it's like a mixture. I would say it's like 50-50 because here's the thing, like you have like the passive audience member who's like this information is new to them and they may see a headline, maybe they're not reading it all the way through and they're like, "Oh, whatever," they're reacting to that. So I kind of feel like I see it in thirds, like three groups of people in my audience. So those people, then it's the people who read the headline and actually read the article or read the whole caption and they get more information and they're the people who are thinking it through, thinking for themselves. Then you have the people who I feel like are maybe more tapped in into politics, or if we're talking about those type of stories or like government, and they have a different perspective because they've been following something for a long time as well. So they're chiming in, and sometimes those things are biased depending on like what side of the situation that they are rooting for or rooting against. So I see it in three different buckets of the type of audience members that we have. But the ones to me who just rush to it and don't actually dig into the content that we created, they're the most annoying because I'm like, this is what we just laid it out for you. Just read it, please.
Right.
But people have short
Give me a
attention span.
chance.
I know because sometimes
Like
I'll see stuff in the comments
the
that we
Tyrese
actually
thing.
put
What do you want from me?
for me.
No, I get it.
Exactly. You want me to
At
they want me to pour it in their mouth or they want me to open their brain and insert it. Girl, no, I'm not doing it. Like read it. Like, cause here's the thing, they'll make a comment about something that we actually reported on in the caption or the article. And I'm like, well, if you read this, it actually said XYZ. Oh,
right,
okay.
right, right. At this point now, can you please let everybody know, give Hilo News a proper plug that it deserves, and let them know where they can get the most amazing hyperlocal news?
Hilo News. If you're looking at the screen and if you're reading my pillow, that's HYLONEWS. Hilo News is South Florida only news site dedicated to Black and Brown millennials and the community as a whole. We cover everything from culture to politics to government and everything in between. And this is not your grandma news. You may hear some cursing over there. You're going to hear some cultural references. This is a safe space for us to get our information. And yeah, that's my baby. And yeah.
Hilo News, I love it. We're gonna keep it on Hilo News a little bit as well. As someone that owns and runs Hilo News, how do you decide what stories actually matter versus what just gets clicks?
Hmm. For us, I'd be lying if I said that we don't think about the virality of our content, but we don't lead with that. It's a mixture of what we do. And so for us, because we are niche, we are focused on like hyper local community news, especially when it deals with the Black community, the Brown community, the millennial community. We are going to cover things that mainstream media does not cover, or we're going to cover it from a different perspective that matters to the demographics that we target. And so for me, when I'm looking at a story, if it's something like, let's just say we're dealing with like politics or government, I don't have to I'm not reporting what the Miami Herald reports. You could go there for that information. I want you to know how this affects you as a Black person in South Florida, and we often lead with, "This is how this will affect you." So we like to give stats and data and history on, this is how this policy or this is how this initiative or this is how this thing is gonna affect you as a Black person or as a millennial, or as a low income person, this is how this is going to affect you. And also, too, someone told me recently, and I'm like, we're digging in more into that. We were talking about just high low news and us as we expand and grow in our community. It's like who we are, especially as Black press, we're a resource in our community. And so I don't just need to give you the generic information that you could get anywhere else. You can get that from Channel 7, like I said, Sun Sentinel, Miami Herald. Like I need to be able to be a resource and a tool for you so you can understand how this affects you so you can make the best decision for your life. And so I think that the Black press, we could do a better job of being more of a resource to our community. And I'm actively, working always to improve the product of High Low News. I think we do a good job, but we could do a greater job of being a resource in our community so that we have information. And definitely want to just give a quick shameless plug to a grant that we got with the local media association and Comcast, and we partnered with the Miami Times on. It's called thank you. Economic development, economic opportunity insights and economic development and how it affects certain zip codes in Miami-Dade County. And of course, they focused on low income zip codes. So like we covered transportation and education and upward mobility and how certain data contributes to people's upward mobility based on the zip codes that they come from. And we were able to compare like what somebody in Coral Gables versus Overtown or Liberty City versus this, and how these different factors contribute to how someone is successful in their life based on where they come from in Miami-Dade County. And so all three of those articles are out on the Miami Times website, and they'll be out on Hilo News' website this week as well. So also to partner with the Miami Times, of course, we reached the millennial audience, but I was like, this information is so valuable that I want the entire community, as many demographics and many people as possible to be able to get this information. So it was in print, it's on their website, it's on our website, it's on our social media. And then also too, at some point within the next month or so, we're going to do a live podcast recording to discuss the information and data that we reported on through this investigative project. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. And to the point I was making is like, to me, that type of work is like a resource. That is a tool. That is something that people can use in our community to see how different things affect us and what, help them make the best decision for their life. Maybe somebody moves somewhere else, and maybe someone demands better from elected official and say, hey, this data showed me that if we had a better school, then my child could have XYZ, or I could have this type of, opportunity. But it's, I have this article now that shows me what the data has shown. And the data came from actually research through, I think, Harvard or Yale. And so they had studied it over like a 10-year period from people born from a certain time frame. And it's a really, really rich data that they gave us. And I was really excited to do this project with LMA and Comcast.
Congratulations. Congratulations on that. And also, please, everyone, follow Hilo News on Instagram right now. Okay, do me that solid. Do her that solid. Follow Hilo News on Instagram. We want to see those numbers jump up off of this podcast. It'll be much appreciated. So, you don't feel pressure to cover something because it's trending, right?
Sometimes I do, but
Mm,
it also depends on what it is. It depends on the timing. We're not Channel 7. We're not local TV. We don't have the budget, so a lot of times we can't cover breaking news.
mm,
A
gotcha.
lot of times in real time. So it's like if we're gonna cover something, we can't cover something in real time. We'll do it, but also to some things that I'm not chasing it because if you're not jumping on certain things in the moment, it's going to be stale by the time we get it. So I actually like that the space that we're in because it allows me to maybe profile a local business owner or dig into different maybe initiatives or some community event or something like that. Like we get to dig into those things that aren't as time sensitive, but also too, we're giving a platform to people who may not be able to get coverage from mainstream media. And that's like the biggest compliment ever when someone is like, I'm so grateful that, Hilo News provided me a platform because we haven't been able to get this story out there on anywhere else. Or somebody, somebody in the audience says, oh my gosh, thank you for sharing this. I haven't seen this anywhere else. Like that's the space that we, live in and thrive in. And I think that's our value proposition to our community and to advertisers and potential investors if, y'all watching.
Yes, they are. Let's switch over to South Florida culture. All right. You're South Florida's own. South Florida's its own world. It's fast, flashy, diverse. What's something about the culture here that outsiders completely misunderstand?
Black people here. We're blackety black. There are black people in South Florida. Like, stop playing with us. There are over a
Oh
million of
my
us from
gosh.
Florida City. to Palm Beach County. Like there's a significant number of us. Now we kind of mix. We got the Caribbean, we got the Black Americans, we got the few African nations in there. Like we a little spicy down here. It's not gonna be like Alabama or Georgia, but we black down here. And I think that a lot of people forget that. But here's the thing: if you don't come across that bridge, you don't come across what is that 395, 195. Bring your ass to the other side so you can see how we live. And the thing is this, our culture is so rich and so fun, and we drive a lot of the culture too. As well, people don't really realize that. Like the way the city girls and trick or treat, like the way they just Florida people like, and let me not say Florida, Miami, South Florida people, because we not from Florida, we from Miami. Um, we have our own swag, we have our own personality, and I think a lot of people we get a little lost in the Latino culture of it all, the Cuban culture of it all, and that's great too because that's a part of us as well. But it's like we were here, we built Miami. Shout out to the Bahamians. Come on, like the Haitian and Jamaican immigrants built our hospitality, culture industries here. So please give us our things. And also too, just to even piggyback on like the big festival that was the Carroll City Chief Hall Orange and Black Festival. Shout out to Central who had their alumni picnic. Also too, the week before was the 18th Ave Block Party. Like to me, when I go to those events, love South Beach, love Wynwood, love Brickell, all that stuff. But that's Miami to me.
It's different.
That is Miami to me. Give me don't stop, get it all day. Give me some clump salad, give me a clump fritter, give me some, our food, our culture, the slang, the dancing, being. Give me that. That's Miami. And I wish our tourism industry or boards of people who promote Miami did a better job of packaging that part and marketing that. Because I think people, especially now, I think Black people around the country, like we all kind of like go into different communities, especially the Black communities, and we want to see what it is. And I think if we package that and let people know, I think they would come. There would be more tourism around our Black communities here in South Florida if it was packaged and presented in a way that people in New York or Atlanta or LA knew that we existed in this way. And I think that we would also see more economic development and investment in our communities if we just marketed our communities in that way. Our culture is so rich, and a lot of people don't know it because it's very insider still.
I was in Colombia the other day and I saw something very interesting and mind blowing to me that I would love to see happen. So I'm in Medellin, right? So everybody used to be scared of Pablo Escobar and all that stuff. So they have these certain areas, which is like the ghettos. I know in like Brazil, if you watched City of Angels, they call them favelas, right? It's like they're up in the mountains. They're like zinc fence, like very low income housing kind of a thing. People on top of each other, the whole shebang bang. In Colombia, they call it whatever the Latin word is for community, comunidad. So this one is called Commodore 13. And specifically, this one was like Pablo Escobar's neighborhood. I've been going to Colombia for years. And when I went back this last time, they have made that area into a tourist trap. You're going
Hmm.
up in escalators in what used to be like the ghetto, and there's people selling you trinkets. They made like in Brazil how they got the Jesus Christ with his arms out thing.
Brazil.
Yeah, that's Brazil, but now they have that in Medellin. So I just found it so fascinating that you take an area where nobody would have touched and you invest in it, because it's like a hill. So they have escalators going up. So you can go like up and you're like in the mountains, you know what I mean? But you're in the mountains in the ghetto, but there's places to eat and things to buy. You can get tattoos. It's like, yeah,
Gentrified, or does the community still feel authentic?
authentic.
Wow, but
I,
they just
I,
invested in some infrastructure things.
right. So I wouldn't get a hotel in there and stay, but I would go visit because they still live up there. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe at night it gets something else, but I felt so comfortable there. And so it made me think like, if you were able to like, yeah, just give it a chance and really invest, people want to have those type of experiences too. Not experience needs to be a bougie one. Because I know even when I
Uh,
travel, no matter where I travel, I always look for like where the people at, where the hood at, so to speak, because I have the best experiences there. Sometimes I eat the best foods there. You know what I mean? Just like an authentic experience. So, um, I dig what you're saying because that's aligned right there. Like, why can't Little Haiti be like that? You know what I'm saying? Why can't a bus go and pull up to Little Haiti and give them the whole experience of being in Little Haiti? Because what happens is that once that area starts making money and the people are allowed to eat and, offer the tourists, they're going to protect those tourists. They're gonna make sure
mhm,
nothing happens in that neighborhood because yo, you messing with the money. And we all it's too
mhm,
many of us eating off of this. So we're not gonna let you come here on no knucklehead business and destroy how the majority of us are eating. So that's
mhm.
something we can think about. Let me
Like that.
yeah. What's something we normalize here in South Florida that we probably shouldn't? Something that shouldn't be normal, but we normalize it here in South Florida.
I think normalizing, I think we normalize like that being rude, like cussing people out. Like I think the AKA situation with Trick Daddy, that's just Miami to me. Like
Right, right,
to
right.
see somebody cussing and being disrespectful, like, that's just so normal to me, because that's just what, like, Miami people do, South Florida people do, like and again, I think that's that mixture of that Caribbean, that spiciness, that Black American. Like, it's like we could go off on you, and we could hit below the belt, or we could say we Miami people could say the thing that you be like, "You went there?" Like, "Yes, I did." And
You
it's
are so
and
right.
and
When I came from New York, it was a culture shock for me. Like, no, seriously, when I came from New York, it was like I've never heard men call women hoes openly, like openly, and they respond to it positively. What's up, hoe? Ain't nothing. I'm like, what? Like that was like what? Like
Man, we don't do that in Carroll City.
no, that
That's
was
some overtime
that was
Liberty
more
City girls.
that was more back in the days. You know what I mean? That was more back in the days. That was more the Luke days. But it was a reality. Like I seen it.
Yeah,
What's
they're
up?
very
Hey,
disrespectful, and it depends on how the guy say it too, and it depends on how attractive he is. Because if you ugly or you broke and or both, I'm totally offended, and I make we may cuss you out. But
that's a whole
if it come us
that's
a
a whole
certain
other
way,
topic.
if it's slightly rude but you attractive, I'm taking
Right.
it as a compliment. Like a
Right.
hey yo, like hey yo, come here. That's so rude. You ain't saying hello to me or nothing. Hey, how you doing, sweetheart? Ayo, come here from the white man? Yes. Yes, daddy. I'm here. I'm coming.
Another that's another topic. Imma jot that one down. Let's move over to entertainment versus reality. I have a few more for you. We're gonna run through these last ones. Do you think entertainment, whether it's hip hop, reality TV, or social media, is shaping real life behavior too much?
Yeah, yeah. I've even like my own personal example of like when I was still working with you at iHeart. If people don't know, I used to work at iHeart and 1035 The Beat, and that's how I met Papa Keith almost 10 years ago. And at the time I was watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta all the time. And I remember vividly like storing these like comebacks for my coworkers because I'm like, I'm ready for if such and such come to me. And in my mind, I'm picturing myself as like a Kenya Moore or a Nene Leakes
Right.
or whoever. And I'm like, I'm going to be ready. And something was like, this is not real. These ladies are getting paid for this. You cannot go in here cussing out or having these slick things to say to your coworkers. Like, you're going to get fired or you're written up. And that's when I said, you know what? I have to stop watching this show because it's making me have an attitude. It's making me superficial. It's making me do this comparison thing. It's making me want to go off on people and have these zingers. And I was like, this is not real. This doesn't work for real life. And I need to stop putting that in my spirit because it's coming out of me. So to your point, I personally experienced it. So I'm like, I know other people, especially too, if you're younger too, and you may not even have that ability to disassociate or be like, check yourself or catch yourself. I could totally see how that Zeus network lineup is like influencing the kids and the 20 something year olds, like, because that stuff is so infectious. If you're watching it, like whether you realize it or not, it may be, permeating like what you're thinking and you're acting on it. I totally believe that reality TV what we see on social media does influence what people's real life behaviors are.
So where's the line between influence and responsibility?
I don't know because we live in a capitalist society, and I can say this as much as sometimes the if we just want to use Zeus as an example, some of that stuff on there is what they call low vibrational, lowbrow, television. Although I have watched Jocelyn's Cabaret and the Baddies. Alexis, our friend, has put me onto those shows. I'm gonna put her out there, but she loves them.
Right, Alexis?
Alexis being there watching that ratchet TV. But to the point about capitalism, it's like it's a fine line for me because it's like I understand the money getting part of it and creating this product and putting it out there and making money off of it. And I also understand the responsibility of what you're putting out in the world and the culture. And it's kind of hard for me to say, yeah, you shouldn't do this because of XYZ, because I also too respect the business side of what he built as well. So I don't know. That's a hard one for me to say a yes or no or the line or whatever because I'm like, where is the line? Like, and also too, if we're
Yeah.
going to be so critical of like something like a Zeus TV, then are we going to be critical of like the food we eat because some of that shit is poison in us? And are we putting a line there? Like, it's like when we start doing that, we got to dissect a lot of things on ethics and what's right and what's wrong because especially in the United States, there's so much that we don't know that like is problematic that we consume and that we pay for. And it's just easier to pick on television or media because it's like right there in our face.
That's
So
so
that was
that's
kind of tough for me because
no, it's a
I
good
get the
one.
money makers out of it.
Yeah, it's a good one. I honestly I look at it like the same. I don't look at it any different as being a drug dealer.
And here's
That's
the
the only
thing, I
thing
have
I
an
look at.
unpopular opinion. I don't judge drug dealers the way people do because that's a crime out of poverty. Like if there
I
were,
don't I
I don't,
don't either. But that's
yeah,
to my point. So so that's to my point. The same way how you would look at a Mona Scott and be like, she pumping out all these shows. That's mental inebriation, like, I that's like drug dealing to me. You know what I mean? But I
mm,
also like to your point, I don't look at drug dealing that way as well. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a good thing. I don't condone it. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But yeah, by certain means necessary and people have options, right? Like I mean, if you're physically drugging people and trying to get them addicted, that's a whole nother ball game. You know what I mean? But if there's a demand for something and somebody's
They
gonna
don't have
supply that.
you can't get a job, and this is your way to feed yourself or your family, and these are the only opportunities in maybe an area that you're in. I c
Yeah,
I'm
but
not thinking you
again, I
finna go
don't,
work on Wall
you know,
Street. That's not that's not for you. You could be on 79th Street though, pumping out like yeah,
for the
but that
record,
to
we're not
me
condoning it. Yeah.
yeah, we're not condoning it, but I'm also like, if there's no jobs in the area but this, what do you expect somebody to do? And so also too, if this is like the opportunities that you're giving black creatives in Hollywood, what else like and they want to be in this industry and they see that this is lucrative, what else do you expect them to do? Like, are you green lighting all the positive shit that because here's the thing, and Lemmy in the interview, he was like, Zeus actually has positive content on there. He's like, y'all not watching it.
Mm,
And I've heard other people say, I pitched this thing that I thought was a great story, but because it wasn't drugs or sex or this and shooting and killing, and black people viewed it in a different way, I couldn't get it made. So, but when I made this thing, it got made. So it's also too, it's like, what do you expect somebody to do? Should they not work in the industry that they care about and love? I think yeah, it's a hard line to say what's right and what wrong and where should we draw the line because to your point, if Lemmy wasn't doing what he's doing, if Mona Scott wasn't, it would be some white person doing it. And I don't know if better if they do it or if we should be in control of it. I can't say.
well, you and I are not doing it. So yeah,
Yeah,
there goes that.
I don't deal
Right,
in
right.
sensationalism and gossip and I just because this thing I'm like there's so many other places that you could go for that. That's
Yeah.
not the type of content that I
Never
need to
done that on
contribute
my
to the
radio
world.
show either, and I pride
Mhm.
myself on never doing gossip and never having to talk people's business to gain listeners and fans, you know? Talking about that, clout versus credibility. Right now, it feels like clout matters more than credibility. When did we start valuing attention over truth? That's wild.
When did Mark Zuckerberg create Facebook? 2003, 2004? That was the start of it. That was the start
Right.
of it being mainstream. I always feel like it existed on some level, but now it's so much more prevalent because to me, social media. So social media has allowed someone who can go viral, but that has like very little talent to be some authority on something, and it's like, oh, I want this thing. And also too, when you see them making that quick money, you too is like, oh, well, maybe I could do some stupid thing and get clout and make some money too. It's like, wow, why am I breaking my back at this construction site? Let me go, let me do some skits and do some silly shit on front of my phone and make some money too. So it's,
And think
but
about the
to
girls
me,
on OnlyFans.
yeah. And here's the other
Yeah.
thing too, is like these are things of consequences of economics and poverty and things like that and income levels. So it's like I can't really, I'm mad. I went to college and did all these things and learned journalism and bitches on their phone getting viral and working in media and stuff like that, getting invites. I'm mad. I'm in debt with student loan. I could have just waited a few years and started talking on my phone. So it sucks in that regard, but I ain't hating on nobody. Get your money. Like it is what
Right.
it is. I don't hate on the girls on OnlyFans. Honestly, it's a little bit safer than doing sex work if you were working a corner or working a hotel. Like you're in the privacy of your home, you doing whatever you want to do, you making your subscription money. And I can't hate on that. Like it exists, it's there. So all of that
Uh,
stuff to me is cloudy. I don't want to do it. I don't want my niece and my nephews or my future kids doing OnlyFans or doing stupid shit on social media for money. I, that's what we are with things.
That's unfortunately. All right, let's shift gears to something that is equally important to both of us, community and responsibility. In communities like ours, do you think people are waiting for change or actually trying to be the change?
No, they waiting. They waiting on Superman. They waiting for change. They are not trying to be the change. They're not being proactive. They're not, you know, being responsible for like what happens. They're letting things happen to them. Again, I don't judge them too hard or fault them too hard because I think it's the system is designed for them to be overworked, exhausted, and not have the energy to pay attention to what's going on to them when it comes to policy and government and politics. And so that's by design, but it's going to take a little bit of sacrifice and digging in if we want to see change. So if that means, hey, I'm a little tired. Hey, and here's a tip: single parents or even working parents or whatever, whoever, single person or whatever. Maybe you can't make it to a government meeting. A lot of them now have our technology, supported. You can watch it while you cooking your dinner. Put on the council meeting you know, retrain your algorithm. Go like different committees or different, municipalities or, groups that are more like maybe socially conscious and following things that's going on in the community. Go like a bunch of those pages so you can kind of mix up your algorithm so that you're being served that on your timeline as well versus just the blogs or the twerk videos or the, comedian videos. Like there's things that you could do within your own power to make things, for you to be able to be engaged. And honestly, the way the world is now, I'm hoping that people are waking up after this last election. I'm sorry. We can't think that what the decision that was made for the president right now was a great, like, look, the gas prices, the rent is too damn high. We're at war. Like, this is a direct response to people not being informed to me. And here's the thing I don't know if I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if Kamala would have got us here too. I don't think she would have. I think she would have been a better candidate. Also, too, if we want to even go back to 2016, Hillary Clinton was a more qualified candidate to me as well to be the president. Like, I don't think she's a saint. She gonna have to pay for her wrongdoings, but I think as a president, she would have been a better choice. And so I think that comes from two people not being informed enough, or also two we think that we have to have a two-party system. We don't.
Yeah.
Like I actually was liking the platform this last election that the Green Party candidate had. I'm like, that's actually the world, the society I would like to live in. I like the stuff that Bernie Sanders, likes to says. I know they say he's so progressive and things, but I actually live on that. Like if I had my own wish, I would probably be way, way on the progressive side of things. But I know that's not realistic. And I know sometimes it's kind of like a throwaway vote if I go vote for that. But I wish that we, did more research and took more control and accountability of our lives in that regard because we actually could have the society that we want. But again, like I said, it's by design that our work system and job system is created that way. And you have to really, really want to be involved and know they're not going to make it easy for us to do it.
Oh,
So we have
oh,
to we have
great.
to take control over it and make it like, I feel like we play into their system now, learn it, and then we have the power to change it. There's no reason why voting days can't be on a weekday. I mean, weekend when everybody's off. Like there,
A
election
holiday.
day.
Yeah,
You get what I'm saying? There's no reason why like government meetings aren't more accessible and things like that. Those are things that you could demand as a voter, as a resident, to say, hey, this is more convenient for us. We want XYZ, and I'm voting you in office because I want this thing. But we don't understand the power that we have. These people don't own these seats. We put you in power and we could take you out of power. It's just that powerful how we are. And there's certain communities that get it, and so we're catching up to it, I think, or tapping back into it. And I'm hoping that with technology, if we're using it as a tool in the right way, that over time, over the next couple of decades, that I'm hoping that our communities start waking up and using those tools to, be empower themselves in that regard.
that is awesome. Thank you, Janae. This is my final question for you tonight. I just want to take the moment before asking the final question to thank you so much for such an amazing first episode. You've been an ultimate and such fluid guest, such a wonderful job, dropped so many gems. This was so great to have this moment with you, to be able to have these conversations with you in front of everyone. So thank you.
Papa Keith, a compliment from you, just means so much to me because, like I always say, you are still, you know, Papa Keith. Like, so it's sometimes surreal. I'm like, this is my friend. This is my family at this point. Like,
Yes,
like so, but
definitely.
it still means something to me. Like it's like Jay-Z was like, Janae, you're dope. I'm like,
Oh, JC, no. No, I appreciate it. This was amazing, better than I could have ever imagined.
I
For the
want to come
final
back.
question,
I
no,
want to
you
come
have
back.
to. You have to. You're
Okay,
gonna be
okay.
a regular guest. Trust me. Trust me. So the name of the podcast, just so everyone knows, is called Common Sense PhD. It's something I've always said to people, that I have a PhD in common sense because of just my practical ways of viewing things and usually being right on most of them. And it's my word that's attached to it is just make it make sense. I think a lot of people just want that. They just want you to make things make sense. And so my final question is called a make it make sense moment. So what's something happening right now, Janae, in relationships, culture, or the news that just makes you say, this makes no sense?
Culture. Let me see. I'm trying to think what makes
Your
no sense.
relationships, culture, or news.
Oh,
Makes no sense.
it makes no sense why we're at war right now. I would say that. And
Gotcha.
of course, I get the power dynamics and things like that, but I just this feels senseless to me. And just my prayers to the soldiers and people and families, innocent people on both sides who lost their lives in this. And I'm just like, yeah, this feels sad and this feels senseless. This doesn't make sense to me why we're doing this.
That was dope. Perfect ending. Perfect. Perfect ending. Renee, thank you so much again. I appreciate you so much. Please let everyone know how they can connect with you, follow you, Hilo News, tell them anything that you got coming up and anything that you got going on. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Papa Keith. Again, congratulations on the launch of the podcast and allow me to be a part of it. Of course, I always support you. And we work together like peanut butter and jelly. So this is always fun to have a conversation.
Peanut butter and jelly.
So Miami. But also too, I'm glad that we were able to have these conversations because we talk about this stuff like offline. So this is kind of cool to kind of like pull back the curtain and let people see things that we talk about like on our own personal time. But thank you again. Again, you guys can follow me at HYLONEWS Hilo News on all platforms. Go to HiloNewsMiami.com. Sign up for our email newsletter. It drops every Saturday morning. We also have exclusive content there on our website and our email newsletter. And yeah, support us. If you have a news tip, you know something going on in the community, you want to be featured, you could DM us or email us as well. DM us on Instagram or email us at info@hilonews.com. And if you're a business and you want to take advantage of our growing audience, you can also DM us and email me at Janae@hilonews.com, and I can let you know about what it takes to, be a partner or client for High Low News. But yeah, you want to get in before today's price is not tomorrow price. And also to support this podcast, if you want to sponsor this, this is in the early stages before it blows up all the way, way big. Make sure you tap in with Papa Keith, and you can reach me if you can't reach him because I can
Nah,
get to
that's
him.
fine.
If it's about some money, I can get to him. But
That
definitely we
part.
need to support independent Black-owned media like the podcast, make it make sense, and also to High Low News. And again, thank you, Papa Keith, for taking me along this ride, for supporting High Low News, investing in High Low News, being a champion for High Low News. I appreciate that, and that means so much coming from you. Like I said, you're a veteran in this media game, radio game, and your cosign helps validate us in rooms. So I appreciate you.
It's well deserved. All right, folks, catch me next Tuesday for this podcast. And I'll inform you of something else real quick before we say goodbye. Next Tuesday, 9 o'clock, right here. And I'll have another guest for you. I'll probably announce it on Monday, so look for my social media. Make It Make Sense is our moniker, but the podcast is called Common Sense PhD. All right, so make sure you tap in with us. And on Thursdays at 9 o'clock, I'll be doing a different type of podcast, a musical podcast. So if y'all remember during COVID, I was doing some R&B mixes and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to go back into that on Thursdays at 9 o'clock. Is going to be called R&B therapy because R&B is therapy for me. So I'll be playing music for 30 minutes, and then the second half of the 30 minutes, I'll be taking requests. People will be able to give shout outs, hear certain songs they want to hear, and all that good stuff. So tap in with me 9 o'clock on Thursday for R&B therapy. All right. If you go check out PapaKeithPodcast.com. You can see all my interviews. Well, most of my interviews. I have over 600 interviews from local people to your favorite artists, from Caribbean to hip hop. Most of my interviews are already up there on my website. So please tap in with that. This will be on the website as well. So go to PapaKeithPodcast.com to check out all my interviews and podcasts. And enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks again, JT.
Thank you.